Okay, so now let us try to understand the concept of inheritance with the help of some coding examples. So for that, I will head over to my lab VM where we'll try out some of these examples. So this is my lab. Now we are looking at, first of all, single inheritance. And single inheritance is a concept where a class extends another class, right? Or inherits another class. So what I have done is I already have a class vehicle and I have a public constructor and a method here, as you can see, right? Now this class starts here with this bracket and ends here with a semicolon. Similarly, I have one more class with a constructor and a method display car, and this is display vehicle. Now, in order to do inheritance or in order to implement inheritance, what I have to do is, as you can see here, syntactically, I'll say car colon public and then the superclass name. So let's do that. So what I'll do is I'll say car colon, I'll specify access modifier public and then followed by the name of the superclass, which is vehicle here. So I'll copy and paste it here, right? Now, what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to create an instance of the superclass, which is vehicle. So I'll copy this. I'll go to my main method here and I'll say vehicle v1, right? With this object, I can call the method, this method, right? So let's do that first. Now I'll say v1 dot method name and let me run this program and see the output. And as we are aware that this particular object v1, once it is created, it will call its constructor. This is the default constructor. So first we'll get this as an output, this is vehicle, and finally when the method is called, we'll get this as an output, right? So let me run this program. I'll say build, I'll say run, and I'll say build and execute. So let us go and see the output here. So it is saying this is vehicle which is coming from constructor and this is display vehicle which is coming from the method call, right? So this I have to close my, this is my earlier executed output. Okay, so from this program we got output as first this one from constructor and then this one from the method. Now what I'm going to do is, let me comment this. Now I'll create instance of subclass which is car, right? So let's go ahead and do that. I will create object of this C1. You can give it any name and then I'll say C1 dot. So you will see now it gives me an option to call both the methods car, right? And let's also call the other one as well. I'll say display. Let me delete this and I'll say vehicle. Now, because of inheritance, what has happened is the member which is in the superclass here, the vehicle, it gets inherited in this class publicly because we have used public access modifier, and therefore with the instance of car class, I can also call this particular method display vehicle, right? Now, one important thing to note here is that when an object for the class car is created, so it in turn extends vehicle, right? So the hierarchy is like this. This is my vehicle and this is my car. Let me represent inheritance by this way, right? So car is extending vehicle, right? Now, when I'm creating an instance of a class car and this car is extending a vehicle, it is necessary that before I can create an instance of car, the vehicle instance should be existing, meaning that if car has to exist, vehicle should also exist because car is extending the class vehicle. So when you create an object of car class, what will happen? It will come to the constructor of the car here and it will see that this car extends another vehicle. So first of all, it will go to the constructor of the superclass, which is vehicle in this case, and it will display first this is vehicle, then it will come back and display this is car. So the order in which the constructor will get called is the one from the superclass is called first and the one from the subclass is called later. So as an output, first we'll see this one, then this we'll see output 2, and after that depending upon the method call, then you are calling display car and then display vehicle. So then it will call the display car output and display vehicle output, right? So let me clear this drawing and let's try to run this program. I'll say build and run, and let's see the output. So I'll go here in the output window and see, you will see this is vehicle, this is car. So this vehicle is coming from superclass constructor, then subclass constructor. Then I'm displaying car here, as you can see at line number 45 here, this one, and then display vehicle. So this is the order in which the execution will happen. So basically first the superclass constructor, then subclass, this is superclass constructor, subclass constructor, then the method call, which we have done explicitly at line number 45 and 46 in this particular example. So basically this is how the concept of inheritance works, wherein a class can extend another class with an access modifier specified here. And this concept is a single inheritance concept. So now let us look at coding example for multiple inheritance, wherein it is a process of deriving a new class which inherits the attributes from two or more classes is known as multiple inheritance. So let's go to our VM. So here I have one class. So if you will see, I have a class with a constructor and another class with a constructor, right? Now what I have to do is syntactically, as you can see in this slide here, I'll say colon public, the other car and the other bus class, right? So let's go back here. I'll say colon public and I'll say vehicle, let's say, and then I'll say comma public again access modifier and four-wheeler, right? So basically what we have done is this particular class car, as you can see in this case, this particular class car is extending vehicle as well as four-wheeler. So this is a concept of multiple inheritance, right? Now let's come back here. Now let's try to put some code in the main. So we will go back here and we will put some code here in the main. Now what I'm doing here is I'm creating an object of subclass which is car, right? And we have seen in the previous example that because car is extending vehicle, so first of all the constructor of vehicle will get called and it will display this is vehicle, and it will then also display the constructor from four-wheeler, right? So if I run this program, we should see output from the superclass constructors. So let's do one more thing. I'll create one more constructor here and I'll call it car, right? Public access modifier, I'll say car, right? And here I'll say cout, this is car, this is car, right? car, and I'll say endl, right? Now let us try to run this program. So first of all, we'll get the call to the constructor from the superclasses and the subclasses. So let's go to build, let's go to run and say build and execute, and let us see the output. I'll go to the output window and you will see that first we say, you see the output as this is vehicle, then this is four-wheeler vehicle, and this is car. And as I have already explained, because car is extending vehicle, so it will give output from constructor of the vehicle class, then from four-wheeler, and then the car class constructor is called, right? So this is how the concept of multiple inheritance works in C++. So next what we will look at is hierarchical inheritance, wherein you can have a class extending another class vehicle, and there is one more class bus which might be extending the same class vehicle. So this is a concept of hierarchical inheritance, but let's look at this with an example. So let us look at coding example for hierarchical inheritance. So I have a vehicle class, then I have a car and a bus class. So here I'll say colon public vehicle public public vehicle VHI, right? And then here also I'll say colon public and then vehicle, right? Now if you will see, this is what we had done in hierarchical, that we have different classes which is extending the same superclass. Same thing I have done here, class car and bus extending the same superclass vehicle. Now if I go ahead and create an instance of car, so let's say car I'll create. So car, I'll say C1, maybe any name you can give, and then I'll say bus B1, right? So what this will do is when I create an object of car C1, it will come here, which in turn will call the superclass constructor. So you'll get this as an output once. And then finally, because of the second bus B1 object creation, again, you will get the output as vehicle. So let us create one more constructor here. We will call, first I'll specify the access modifier public colon, and let's say I will call it constructor here. I'll say cout I am car ENDL, right? And then let me also, I'll just copy and paste all of this, and I'll just change the name in the subclass here in the bus, right? So I will, let me just copy this here, put it here, right? And I'll put this here as well, right? So now we know that when I'm creating C1, it will come to this constructor, display this, but before it displays this, it sees that it also has a superclass vehicle. So I'll copy this and correct this. This is vehicle here, right? So it will go to the superclass, first display I am vehicle, and then it will display I am car. And then from the next statement, bus V1, it will come here. It sees that it has a superclass. It will go to the superclass constructor and display the value from superclass constructor, and then finally display the value from this constructor, right? So let us see the output of this program. So as you can see that first of all, I get an output. This is vehicle and then this is car, right? And then finally, this is again vehicle and bus. So this is coming from first object and this is coming from second object. So this is how the concept of hierarchical inheritance works in the case of C++. So next is multi-level inheritance, wherein this car class extends four-wheeler, which in turn extends vehicle, right? So here again the concept is same, that if you have a constructor here and here and here, and if you create an object of car class, it will first go to this four-wheeler and then it will go here and display the value from this constructor and then this and finally this, right? So let us try it out with an example. Okay, so here I have three classes. As you can see, I have a vehicle, four-wheeler and a car, right? So let us begin our inheritance. In this case, we'll talk about multi-level inheritance, right? So let's go here. So first I will go to four-wheeler and say colon public, right, vehicle, and then here I'll say class car colon public, and then I'll say four-wheeler, right? Now now if you will see, what I have done is hierarchy has become something like this. So I have a superclass, subclass, and another subclass here, right? So if this is my vehicle, this is my four-wheeler, and this is my car, right? So this is my car here. So let me erase this. So coming back, so what I'm doing is if I create an object of this class, which extends this, which in turn extends this, right? So this will first call this constructor, this will call this constructor, and this is how it works like we have seen earlier, right? So let me go and create an object of car. It will come here, right? and then it will come here, this constructor, and then it will go here. So first of all, it will display the value from vehicle, which is this is vehicle, then from the four-wheeler, and then finally from the car, right? So let's try to run this program and see the output. So I'll go to P1 here, and this is vehicle from supermost class, then object with four wheels are vehicle, car with four wheels, right? So this is how the output is generated. Now also, whatever you define in the topmost class, so let's say I define a method here, void method cout. I'll display here, this is method from CLE, right? And then and here I'll say ENDL. Now what happens is when you have the supermost class A, B, and C, and inheritance is involved, right? So what will happen? This will inherit, or rather the methods and attributes from A will get inherited in B, and from B it will get inherited in C, since we have made use of public access modifier. To know more about this access modifier, check out the module access modifier, right? So if I've defined a function here, method, and I'm publicly inheriting it in this B class, which in turn is being inherited by C class, then I can create instance of CC and then call that particular method, which is this particular method, right? So let's try to call this method and see the output. So what I have done here is I have created an object of car class, which is the one at the bottom in the hierarchy, right? And then I call this method, and this method is basically, if you will remember, that it is in the topmost class in the hierarchy, right? So with the object of the subclass, I'm calling the method in the topmost class. So let me run this program. I'll say build, I'll say run, and then I'll say build and execute. And let's go to this window and see the output. So you can see that I'm able to display this is method from vehicle, right? So this is how the method from the superclass will get inherited in the subclass down in the hierarchy. So this is how the concept of multi-level inheritance works in C++. So finally, talking about hybrid inheritance, we have a diamond structure created. As you can see, this is like a diamond getting created, right? So you have a class, two other class extends that class, and then third class extends these two classes, right? So let us look at an example to understand that. So I'll go to my VM here. I have a class here, vehicle. This and this is extending vehicle. So diagrammatically, if you want to draw it, this is vehicle, right? Then I have car and bus, which is extending vehicle, and then finally a fare class, which is extending this car and bus. And then finally you can create instance of fare or whatever class, and the conceptual working of the different calls to constructors and method remain same as I have already explained. So these are different ways how you can use inheritance in C++.